Hello YouTube and welcome back to Fire Gaming Project. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing the Mouun versus the Stringless and also the Blackcliff Warbow, okay? And the reason why is because I got a lot of questions, and thank you guys, from my viewers and comments in my previous video where I did a pre-release analysis of Mouun and the Wavebreaker's Fin polearm, which are the current 4-star new limited edition new weapons that are in the current event banner with Hu Tao's weapon banner for the Staff of Homa. And the previous banner that was with Childs was the Akuo Maru Claymore, which I talked about in previous videos as well. Okay, so before we begin, please make sure that you guys are subscribed and hit the notification bell, hit the like button, of course, and definitely please do leave me comments and questions. I do interact with you guys. I do respond within 24 hours, definitely sometimes shorter, sometimes within the 24 hours for sure, depending on when I receive or notice that there is a comment there. So do interact with me. Thank you. Now, the other reason for this video was because I just want to kind of put it out there, even though I did the pre-release analysis, but now the official weapons have been released already, and since I've been getting questions, so I just wanted to put this video out, kind of earlier, so that it's there and to inform people. Also, in case you didn't know, right before this video, I released one specifically for the Wavebreaker's Fin versus the Catch versus the Blackcliff Pole. Do check that out. In that one, I do spend a little extra time in the second half of that video discussing the specific situation with Xiao and his ult, and how it may or may not benefit from the passive from the Wavebreaker's Fin and the Catch. So do check that out. But here we go. So now back to this one, the Mouun, the Stringless, and the Blackcliff. So I can confidently say, in this scenario though, there should be no bow user in the game currently that may have a situation similar to Xiao where it may be questionable whether they can benefit from the passive from the Mouun. So let's get into it. The Mouun is going to be similar to Wavebreaker's Fin and Akuo Maru for the passive. Basically, it will be a major buff to the burst, elemental burst damage, or the ultimate damage, okay? And as we have seen with the Akuo Maru Claymore previously with other streamers testing it and such, because I will be transparent, I didn't get that, unfortunately, I wasn't able to, and I don't currently have the Mouun or the Wavebreaker's Fin either, but because they're from the same series, then it can be the same analysis, basically, is that this series of weapons is going to be very strong. You do need obviously to optimize your team composition to make sure that you get the maximum damage, because you need your characters to make sure that they have the highest amount of energy capacity for their weapon, not weapon, for their ult, basically the energy cost, as I've discussed previously in the pre-release analysis as well. I go into more depth there. This is meant to be more of a conclusion and update video now that it's released, okay? So this will be shorter. Same with the other one, with the Wavebreaker's Fin before this, it's shorter as well. But I will say, so because of the reason why, because of this series of weapons, where the Mouun and the Wavebreaker's Fin and the Akuo Maru, at R1, okay, they are comparable in terms of damage to an R1 5-star version weapon, okay? And that's obviously based on certain scenarios too. They're comparable in the sense that they may be a little bit less damage than a 5-star R1 weapon, or they could even be better than a 5-star R1 weapon in certain situations where maybe your buffs, your composition, and also your artifact substats, etc. are all optimized. So that's why I'm saying on average though, they're very comparable, and that's just going to be my universal statement. And also another universal statement I'm going to say is that the Mouun and the Blackcliff Warbow specifically are going to be universal for all bow users, and they're going to be considered good placeholder weapons until you can get better weapons for them should you wish to do so and replace them. Okay, with that being said though, the Stringless is included here because specifically the Stringless, and I have it on my Venti, Stringless has a similar passive. It does buff the burst, however it also buffs the skill, the elemental skill, whereas the Mouun does not. But you will also notice that Stringless has an elemental mastery substat, not an attack percentage substat like the Mouun, and not like the crit damage substat like the Blackcliff Warbow. So that's why why I would say that although it's comparable in terms of the passive here, the Stringless will be better in certain cases because for the characters that require elemental mastery, such as these animal characters, basically, so Venti, as well as if their skill also has a certain benefit to it. Again, Venti in this case, because his skill also is useful. So the Stringless is technically Venti's best 4-star, best in slot 4-star weapon. For the 5-star, obviously, it's going to be the Elegy for the End, which is on the current banner with the Staff of Homa, right? But I am not polling for that, and I've already announced that already in my polling video for Hu Tao. So do check that out too. But yeah. So with that being said, the Stringless, who is it for? The Stringless actually, like, since we're already on this, the Stringless, just as a quick review, is going to be good for anyone that you want to do in a support role where they want to increase reaction damage with Elemental Mastery. So this could be basically a lot of the characters in that sense too. It is universal. However, it is also considered a more niche build. So meaning that certain characters you would want to focus more on their attack or their crit stats instead of their Elemental Mastery. So that's why this is more of a niche one, but it is a very viable one for certain characters, okay? Now, when you do an Elemental Mastery build, though, I do want to put this as a caveat. You will have to adjust the way that you build their artifact sets as well. I'm not going to go into that here, but basically you'd want some Elemental Mastery main stat artifact pieces as well so that you can try to maximize on your Elemental Mastery. And once you go that route, especially with animal characters, you will not need to care so much about their talents anymore if you're going to just focus only on Elemental Mastery. You only need to care about their actual attack percentage and their attack base, their base attack actually, for their weapon base attack plus the character base attack. That's all that matters when it factors into the multipliers for Elemental Mastery if you're doing it that build. So it is a very niche build, but it is also a very viable build, especially after 1.6, I believe, when they buffed Elemental Mastery. Then that was also because of Kazuha's release and also to buff Anemo in that way. So enough about that, but yeah, I will just say that the Stringless is good for Venti. I'm just gonna quickly go through the line here. It's gonna be good technically on Ganyu if you want to use her in a support role and use her for reaction damage. I wouldn't recommend it on like more DP. I mean, definitely Ganyu can be a sub DPS or DPS. So that's why I wouldn't recommend it on her. I'll be honest. I wouldn't recommend it on Child. I would not recommend it on Yoimiya, not on Diona, only because Diona's best is actually Sacrificial Bow. I wouldn't recommend it on Sara either, Kujo Sara, because she has her her use for buffing attack, etc., and she has a charge attack aspect to her. So the Stringless could do well on Fischl, because she can be built in many ways. She can be built in a crit build, which is what I have here, or she could also be built with a Elemental Mastery build, of course, and also damage build. So she's very flexible. An Elemental Mastery build is also good for Amber, but not many people use Amber unless you're early game or maybe free to play, or if you really like her, of course. Now, she is only good with many more constellations, so if you can unlock her at later constellations, that'd be better. She is not bad. However, there are better characters, as we know. That's why no one really uses Amber anymore, because there are better Pyro characters and there are better Bow characters, right? So, but as you can see, I gave her the Windbloom Ode, but I don't use this character, just so we're clear. She's just holding on to it because it's just a placeholder. So that's that for the Stringless. For the Blackcliff is universal, so it's going to be good for all these characters. As you see, it's on my official. Okay, it was previously temporarily on Sara recently. It was also, for the longest time, the Blackcliff Warbow was also on my Ganyu in the beginning, before I got her Amos Bow. I didn't get the Amos Bow from her banner when it was released. I got it later on as either 50-50 loss or a standard banner pull. So, and then I replaced it. So Blackcliff Warbow, again, is a good placeholder weapon, universal for all characters. The only other issue with Blackcliff weapons in general is that the passive is not guaranteed to be maximized to get all 3 stacks to 72%, but it's still pretty good because building with a crit damage weapon makes building the character easier, because then you can focus their artifacts on like a crit rate for like the crown instead of a crit damage, because that's one less substat to worry about. 36.8 is pretty good still, I would say. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's still pretty good. And considering that the only other crit damage one that's currently available is the Thundering Pulse, which is a 5-star, and it's like almost double at 66. So that's that's a 5-star weapon, so you can't really compare, obviously. Yeah, so I would just say the Blackcliff is a pretty good weapon overall. Now, the Mouun's Mouun is also very universal, and it will apply again for most characters, but only if you're more focused on using them for like their nuke ability for their burst. If you're focused on like dropping their nuke, or sorry, dropping their burst and then swapping them out maybe, then yeah, the Mouun's Mouun would be good to have. For example, I can think of characters such as Aloy, because she really her elemental skills honestly not really that useful, and you would really not really use her for her normal attack either. So really, yeah, I can consider Mouun's Mouun pretty good for her. You could also do Mouun's Mouun for Venti because his ult is also very important, and that's actually his major damage dealer. So I can see it that way too. It is going to be an attack percentage substat, so that's fine. But then the only other issue with the Mouun's Mouun, Akuamaru, and the Waybreaker's Fin is that it will not buff normal attack, charge attack, plunging attack, and elemental skill. Only buffs the burst. So that's why these weapons are basically specifically for characters where you want to drop their burst and that's majority of their damage, and or you swap them out, you know. I could see it for Ganyu because her burst is actually quite strong too, but really Ganyu is meant to be a charge attack queen, so that's why I would not recommend the Mouun's Mouun for her. If you can get her the Amos bow or even the craftable Hamayumi, that's also good, right? Or you know, like those kind of weapons. And also, I just said the Blackcliff was also good on her. So yeah, I would not. I wouldn't say that that the Mouun's Mouun is not good on Child and Yoimiya. It could be good for them, but obviously they have better options. But I'm not saying that you have to go for their 5-star, obviously, because I got him Polar Star and I got her Thundering Pulse. I'm just saying like you could go for there are other options for them, because specifically for Child and Yoimiya, and that's the thing that was the biggest debate, they actually do really well with the R5 Rust, okay? So they have better options than the Mouun's Mouun, in my opinion, because a lot of their damage comes from their normal attack, and especially Child, he has it infused. Actually, both of them have it infused. After they hit their E, their elemental skill, it infuses their normal attack with their element, Pyro for Yoimiya and Hydro for Child. So then the Rust is actually the best for them in terms of a 4-star weapon. Okay, and then again, Aimless Bow is good for charge attack users such as Ganyu, and there is that actual aspect of using a charge attack for Sarah as well. So that's why she has one as well in my case. Yeah, like I mean, Fischl can be a normal attacker, of course, and she has her Oz for her elemental skill, and she can also have another Oz basically for her burst. So I could see the Mouun's Mouun being good for her burst as well. Similarly, Amber could be a charge attacker, but really her burst is also a lot of where her damage comes from. Her E is not so strong, but it is there too. I would say yes, the Mouun's Mouun could do well for her as well. Yeah, and then the reason why I don't think that the Mouun's Mouun is going to be good for Diona at all is because her best in slot is going to be the Sacrificial Bow, because that allows her to proc her little Icy Paws twice. And she's really just for support, really. It's a healing and, you know, shielding. And she's on the current Hu Tao rerun banner as well. So yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, that's my summary. The Mouun's Mouun is a great weapon, just like the Blackcliff Warbow, and the Stringless is an awesome weapon, but more of a niche build. I hope you guys like this, and there should be no contention here because unlike the other video where there was more of a question mark regarding Xiao, but do check out that video too, please. And also, like, you'll see that I did something similar where I talked about the 3 weapons and talked about it in a more general way for that one. This one I went into more detail about each character. That one I did it more in like an overall thing and grouped them together, because that one just so happens that there are some polearm users that have energy issues, and there are, you know, so then I just group them all together in that way, right, you know? But anyway, do check that out, and again, please make sure that you guys are subscribed, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, leave me comments and some questions, and let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.